As business owners on YouTube, it's very important that we actually sell our products. For a lot of us, that's the whole goal of why we're growing a YouTube channel in the first place, to be the top of our funnel that generates sales into the rest of our funnel so that we can continue to serve people well with the products and the services that we're offering and hopefully change their lives. And today, what we want to talk about with you is how do you do that in a way on YouTube that actually works? Like, how to use YouTube as a top of funnel thing to grow your email list and to grow more sales and revenue for your business, and especially do that in a way that comes across as real, as authentic, and not sleazy, and not just like you're trying to get into someone's wallet. All that and more coming up here today in this episode.
Hey, welcome to the Video Creators Podcast presented by vidIQ. You know how you put a lot of time and energy into your YouTube channel for not nearly enough growth? Yep, we get it. We are here today to help you change that.
Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to see you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode this week, where we just want to help you grow your business, grow your online YouTube audience, and do it all in a way that reaches more people and changes their lives. And today, our goal is hopefully change your life by giving you some ideas and advice on how you can grow the business side of your channel, especially in terms of sales. Now, we're assuming you already have some products that you're selling. If you don't have products, we have other episodes in the past and more coming up about how to ideate and create and deliver and sell the right product to your audience if they actually want to buy. But today we're assuming that you have a product, you have a service you're already selling, and you're using YouTube as a top of the funnel. How can you make YouTube a more effective top of funnel? And today I'm joined by two of the YouTube strategists on our team here. We got Ingrid, who is now the Video Creators Manager. She's replacing me at the company. So not replacing me. We all just kind of got like a little promotion, I guess, from vidIQ acquired Video Creators back in September. So Ingrid, share with people what you do here at Video Creators.
Oh, well, I talk to people in consultations for sure and help creators develop a growth strategy around their businesses and their channels. And I help to also run the day-to-day here in Video Creators, do a little bit of training and just managing.
I don't know if help is the right word. I think you just do it all. So I think you need help.
Maybe.
From some more people.
Yeah. I also work with clients long-term too. So yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Cool. And then Sam is also one of our YouTube strategists from Florida. Ingrid's in North Carolina. And Sam, what do you do here?
Yeah. So I'm one of the strategists, like Tim said. So I right now am doing our Video Labs program, as well as the hour-long consultations and discovery calls and things like that, and jumping on here and doing the podcast, which is fun. So pretty soon I'm actually going to be moving into our action plan program, doing some more of our long-term, more relational type of consultations and just help with growing the channel and things like that. So really, really excited for that. So yeah,
I'm glad you're here, man.
Yep.
Before we get into all that, though, with sales on your channel, we every week want to give you a creator spotlight, introduce you to someone who's doing something on YouTube that we can learn from. And today, our creator spotlight is on Jim Nix. Sam, I think it was you who worked with Jim. Before we listen to a little clip from him here, can you kind of set him up for us and what his channel's about, what he was doing?
Yeah. So Jim just finished up coming through our Video Labs program. He's got a really cool photography channel. I've always had such an appreciation for artists who can just capture photos in that way. I've just never been good at that. So just super, super cool channel. But he just finished coming through Video Labs, and he's going to share his story here in a second, but he was just having a little bit of a hard time, I guess, with a strategy when it comes to approaching the channel as a whole and creating videos, and just having a bit of a rough time crafting a strategy that would help for the long term. So so here he is sharing his story.
Before I started Video Labs, my YouTube approach was a bit haphazard. I didn't really have a strategy or a plan, and I kind of went from video to video without really giving a whole lot of thought of the continuity that may be necessary between the different videos and what I could do to make them all better. So now that I've gone through that, I've learned so many things about how to approach it and to be a bit more strategic. So these are all the basics that you cover, which even though they're basic, are incredibly important and strategic. And what it's really caused me to do is kind of back up and look at my YouTube a business as a component of my overall business and not as the entire business. So I've essentially trying to slow down and get more strategic. And I've kind of backed up and looked at my business overall kind of holistically and realized that YouTube, while a very important component of what I do, is a component of what I do. It's one leg of the stool, not the entire stool itself. And so that's helped me to really think broader and bigger and make me craft or help me make plans for the future in terms of what I want to do. And I feel like I'm now on a path towards where I want to be. And I have some direction, and it's really because of Video Labs helped me get there.
If you're feeling like Jim and you're like, hey, I got this vision for my channel. I want to do it, but I don't know how to do it. Or I don't know how to make it work. And I don't know what next steps to take. And I don't really I just want to feel confident that I'm not wasting time. I'm doing the right thing, the right way, in the right order in order to get the results I really want for my business, for my channel. We would love to talk with you. We would love to schedule a 15-minute discovery call with you just to hear your story. We've got a lot of different things going on at Video Creators and ways that we can help you grow, whether it be a one-on-one long-term relationship where we do all of your strategy for you, or you could be a part of a group coaching and mentoring program that Sam currently leads. You could just do, maybe all you need is like a 1-hour session, just to kind of have someone dig through it and give you some advice and move forward. It really depends. We just want to hear where you're at. We want to hear your story. We want to hear what you're working on your channel, what your roadblocks are, and the goals that you have for it. And then just see if there's something that we offer that could be a good fit, and just kind of talk with you about it and see if it makes sense for you or not to become a part of that thing with us. So if you want to get on, I think, Sam's calendar, he's doing a lot of these discovery calls right now. You go to videocreators.com/discovery call. Just schedule yourself a 15-minute session with us right there. And we'd love to hear your story and talk about how we can move forward with you, or even if that even makes sense for you where you're at right now. So go to videocreators.com/discovery call, book your 15-minute session, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
So guys, I feel like a lot of the times when I talk to creators in consultations or I start to work with them long term, one of the biggest questions is, do I need a large audience to make money? Because a lot of times, when you come to YouTube, especially when you have a business, sometimes it takes a little bit to build that audience. So how can you actually make a significant income with a small audience?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think the tendency is to think of YouTube as kind of, you are standing on a platform with a megaphone and you're shouting out to just this sea of people, and you hope that some of these people happen to make a transaction and you'll make money that way. But I think the reality is it's all about getting the right people in front of you. And so really you can have a small audience, and if you are getting the right people in front of you, that can be a super powerful thing, depending on what sort of monetization options you're going for. If you're selling a product, if you maybe have a membership or a course or something like that, you don't have to have a huge channel to just try to toss this thing out there and hope and pray that people show up and buy this thing or sign up for your course. You really can have a small channel of people who are really dedicated, and you're reaching them super well, and you know who they are, and they're high value viewers. There's absolutely opportunity to definitely earn some income that way.
I know a guy who, part of the Video Creators audience, met him at a conference. He came up to me. He's like, Tim, I'm listening to podcasts and watch your stuff. Thank you so much. He's like, I just want to let you know that my channel is a little bit unusual. He told me about it. And he said, I only have about 3,000 subscribers, and I'm making over $2 million a year from this channel. It was not from Adsense. It was from his own product sales and commissions and affiliates and things like that. But making over $2 million a year from channel 3,000 subs. Now, I'll just say right now, that's not normal, but it is possible, right? Even here at Video Creators, and Video Creators was not my first rodeo on YouTube. I mean, I've done several other channels prior to starting this one, and things. So I learned by the time I started Video Creators that I needed to launch this channel with a business model, not just depend on AdSense and brand deals and things like that. And so when I launched it, I did a little Kickstarter. There's a Kickstarter wannabe site back then called TubeStart. It doesn't exist anymore, but basically Kickstarter for YouTube creators. I used that. and wrote my very first product called 30 Days to Better YouTube Channel, which at that time was an ebook because ebooks were a thing back in those days. And launched the channel when it had about 3,000 subscribers. It was making, or when I launched the product, it was making $10,000 a month. And my first thought was like, wow, I should have quit my real job like years ago. Twice as much money as I was making as a salaried employee back then. But what I really grew to love about it was that I loved the transaction that was happening. It felt like a win-win-win. The win was that the customer, the person I was serving, got a win because now they're accessing information and processes that they otherwise wouldn't have had access to and get to reach their goals. And then their audience wins because of that, because now their audience is getting access to the products and the services and the content that this creator is making that will impact their life. And it's a win for our family because our family was now making money to make this financially sustainable so we could continue to serve the people who are serving other people who are serving our family well. And so our family being served well made me feel like I was able to now serve this other audience's family well. It was just like this. I loved it. So it was really about not just the money, but it was like, this is like a good thing for us to make money and think of money as dollars or certificates of appreciation that we exchange as a thank you for the service that you're providing for us. Like, I value this service. Here you go. Right. So, and at the time, compared to AdSense, I was hardly making anything. And I think the math for a product with your audience versus like that AdSense really makes, I mean, it's pretty easy to see that AdSense is like not really that much when you compare to what you can be making. My math was, I was making at that time, it's different now, but at that time I was making about $2.50 per 1,000 views on YouTube. And thankfully, CPMs have gone up significantly since then. But at that time, it was about $2.50. And I had a product that is $200. And so I would make a video, all these good videos like building trust, building credibility. And then when I would just pitch like 30 Days to Better YouTube Channel as a part of one of those videos, I would convert about 1% of the audience into a sale, which meant 10 sales per 1,000 views. So 10 sales per 1,000 views equals at 200 each equals $2,000 per 1,000 views on YouTube, compared with the $2.50 that YouTube was giving me per 1,000 views. So you see it pretty quickly how having your own product can not only serve you and your family, but allow you to serve other people better at the same time and make a lot more money in the process and be in better control of your business model than just kind of leaving it into the hands of advertisers and things.
Just out of curiosity, because I know that when you started, the pricing was very different. You started with a low ticket item, right?
Yeah. What you consider low ticket now is different than it was then.
Right.
Back then, low ticket was like $30, I think. And then low ticket became like $100. And now if you're selling any sort of like professional education or services or things like that, low ticket is about $200. But it certainly changed over, the past decade for sure.
But my point is also for those people that are listening that you don't have to necessarily go for the big sale.
Oh,
it's better to build and scale, right?
A $27 product at a 1% conversion rate is still $270 with if it's $27, $270 per 1,000 views, which you will never get a CPM like that from any brand deal or sponsors or anything, right? And so it makes sense because the brand deal might make that off of your audience, but they're giving you a portion of what they think they'll get from your audience because it's not good math to pay someone $5,000 and then only make $1,000 back, right? So they're going to pay. They're expecting to make several times more from your audience than what they're paying you. So it's I kind of look at that and be like, if my audience is worth that much money, I'd rather just sell something to them directly and take that money for myself and serve them with a product that I am passionate about and am confident will give them exactly what they need to reach the goals that they have.
And I feel like a real practical step here would be to maybe talk about, how to actually execute a sales video. Because we have what we talk about the 3 bucket strategy a lot, where we have our discoverable content that brings in our lead magnets, right? We have community content. That's the second bucket that helps to grow the know, like, and trust factor. But when it comes to a sales video, just one of the things that you want to kind of think about it as crafting it kind of like a discoverable video. So you're still kind of solving a problem that the viewer has, right? But it's not really a commercial. You want it to be a high value video. Okay. You need to address the problem. You need to make the viewer feel like you understand their problem. And then you need to actually have your product positioned as the solution for how they feel. So at the end, your pitch, which does not have to be in the last 20 seconds. This is something that I want to stress because I see a lot of creators make that mistake. It just needs to be at the end. What's the right point in your video to make that pitch? Because ultimately you're taking them off the platform. It doesn't necessarily need to be a link in the end screen, though it can be. It can be a link in your description, or you can even just tell them where to go and let them actually just leave the platform by typing it into, Google. And from there, you have to also kind of realize that those videos are not going to go as far, usually, as regular content. It can happen. I've seen that. I'm sure you guys have seen that with a lot of channels where a sales video does completely blow up. Yeah. But that's because of other reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. You give an example of this maybe. So this is for my channel, YouTube, video creators, for YouTube creators. It was... I remember one video I did. You guys know what sub for sub is, right? When people are like, sub to my channel, I'll sub back to you with 4 more. Or, so
do people still do that?
It's been at the time that was a thing that a lot of people are trying to do. I got so many sub for sub comments all the time. In fact, Daryl Eves and I, it was probably like 8 or 9 years ago now, made a collaboration together out in California at YouTube Space LA. With sub sandwiches, making fun of sub for sub. So
I have to find that video.
It's on his channel from a long time ago, and it's still a thing between Daryl and I. Whenever we see each other, sub for sub, we do. But it's his Subway sandwich from my sub. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Dad jokes, I guess.
It's funny when you explain it.
I know. I'm sorry. The fact that it takes so long to explain is kind of like kind of means it wasn't a very good idea. But But anyway, so that was a big thing. So I made a video called Sub for Sub will get your channel terminated. And a lot of creators who are trying to grow that way are like, what? Like, and so in there, I point out in the YouTube's terms of service, it says that sub for sub is considered spam and is grounds for having your channel terminated. Okay. So I'm like pointing out the problem. Like they have a problem. They're trying to grow their channel, and the way they're trying to grow their channel might actually terminate their channel. So I was like, there's stakes involved with this now in this story. And so then I just like, well, what is the right way to grow your channel? That doesn't get your channel terminated. Well, I put together a free guide for you. And in that, you can click right here to get it. It's completely free. And in that guide, you're going to get 6-step process you need to work through in order to grow your channel. And each step, and I'll take, I took a solid 2-ish, 3 minutes just pitching that guide. In this step, you're going to get this. And this step, you're going to get that. And then here's what you're going to do. So by the time you get to the end of the steps, like you should have a custom strategy developed for growth on your channel that'll help you, blah, 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 right? And it's all free. Click the link. And I mention it, a few times. You can click the link down below, or I'm pointing to the interactive card, or even on the end screen. By that time, I'm pointing to where it is on the end screen. And the whole goal of that video is get the heck off of YouTube and go download this thing, and they have to give me their email address to download it, of course. But that's a sales video. So in that case, I wasn't selling something necessarily, but it was the goal of that video is to get people off of YouTube and into my funnel. So moving them from the top of funnel with YouTube into the next step of that funnel, which is email lists and sequences and other content and things that introduce the product and gets them into my ecosystem. So I don't know. I thought that was a good sales video for us. Yeah. And at the end of 2 or 3 weeks later, it's no longer getting any views, which is fine. It served its goal, which the discoverable videos of that 3-bucket strategy are what brings in the traffic. And then once they're in and watching content, I've grown the know, like, and trust factors a little bit. Then I can, I have the sales video and my subscribers will watch it. The fans will watch it. And then after it's passed through their subscription feeds and home feeds and stuff, I can just unlist it if I want and take it down because it's not really getting any more views anyway, because hopefully it successfully ended the viewing session and YouTube by sending people off of YouTube to my website, and YouTube doesn't like promoting videos like that. So it dies, and that's fine. It did its job. So a sales video doesn't necessarily have to be like, it should still be value driven. It's not a commercial. Still be good. Like, you don't want people to feel like, oh, how did I get here? Like, why am I watching this? You want them to be like, they're learning something. But in this case of a sales video, it's typically just helping the viewer know that you understand the problem and you feel the problem with them and you have a solution for it. And here's the next step for getting to that solution. It's not really just about like solving the problem and then trying to sell a way to solve the problem or something. The main goal is just to really kind of expose that problem and how you can solve it for them. And the bigger the problem, and I mean by problem, I don't mean like in sales world, there's a difference between a painkiller and a vitamin, right? You can't be selling vitamins. Some people buy vitamins, but people really want the painkiller. And so what's the painkiller that your audience really needs? And you got to sell that to them. In terms of funnel, and this is how I have used YouTube. There's other ways to do it too, but if you're just kind of getting started, trying to figure out how does YouTube fit into my top of funnel and how do I what's a good maybe sample funnel look like? It really depends on your target audience and who you're going after. For example, if you're going after veteran lawyers who have been practicing law for 25 years, that's going to be different than if you're going after a 16-year-old who just likes watching their favorite entertainer or something, right? So so the funnels can be very different. But if you're very generally speaking, kind of like an educator like we are here at YouTube, what's working well for us is having YouTube go to a lead magnet, which would be in the email, like a free resource product, mini course, something you give away in exchange for an email address. And then they go into an email sequence of maybe 4 or 5 emails. The first several emails are just all value driven, like blow their mind with how well you can help them solve this problem. And by email like 3 and 4 and 5, you're introducing the problem, but not really solving it as much. But you're helping the customer understand that you understand the problem and showing empathy for that problem. And maybe that comes down to like sharing your story of what it was like when you felt that way and when you were against that same roadblock and didn't know how to overcome it. By email like 5 and 6, they're getting a pretty strong pitch for your product. Maybe it's like a PS in previous emails, but by now it's like by email 6 for sure, if not 5, the whole thing is just a big, it's just a pitch for the product that you want to buy. And you can send several of those in a row. I don't think it's too spammy to do that. Not the same email, of course, but like different versions of it, hitting on different pain points and different problems and different ways your product or service solves that. And then after that, we have found that it works typically well to have a recurring revenue product that you can upsell after that. For us, it was Video Creators Academy, which we don't sell anymore just due to integrating with vidIQ more. That was a product we took down, but some sort of like low level, 47, 27, 67, something like, $1 a month, a recurring revenue product. That was a mistake we made early on. All of our whole sales funnel was just one-off sales. And and we had to keep getting new customers in order to keep money coming in the door. But once we put together a recurring revenue product, we had a little bit more breathing room, because now you take your best customers who want to keep going with you, and you give them an option to do that. So that was usually an upsell after the 30 days about a YouTube channel product. And then we let them sit there for a while. We just kept delivering good value to them through email, through YouTube, through podcast content, continue to help them. And the goal, the entry level product, which was at this point for us, it's $197. The goal is just blow people away with how much value they get. They're like, I can't believe I got all of this, and I feel this good. Like, this should have, like, I would have expected this to be like several $1,000s, like that type of level product for a couple hundred. You want to blow their freaking minds with how much they got for that. And how valuable that item, that purchase was. Then and then later, after they've sufficiently given them time to consume that product, then there's a higher ticket item, which could be $2,000, $5,000, even $15,000. It just kind of depends on your product and your service and what it is and how strong of a. And it's always not just how big the problem is, but it's how well you make the person feel that you can solve that problem too. So that goes into the pricing as well. So I don't know, funnels look differently, but that's kind of like a quick overview. I would highly recommend a book. Oh, look, it's right here. Didn't even plan that. Look at that, guys. $100 million Offers by Alex Hormozi. The subtitle is How to Make Offers So Good People Feel Stupid Saying No.
That was a great book.
Internally here, I listened to the audiobook, and I was like, oh, I need the print book. So I bought the print, and then I bought copies for all of you guys too. I'm like, you guys need to read this, because I was like, we need to make people feel stupid. Like, how do we make them feel stupid saying no? Because in sales, you have a couple different levers. The lever most people take is they think you can make a better product, of course, and you can have leverage on the price. So usually that's what people go to. People aren't buying it. Oh, it must be too expensive, so they lower the price. But there's this other lever. It's actually more important, that this book goes into, is the offer itself is a lever. Maybe the price is fine and the product is fine, but the offer itself is just not a very strong offer. And it doesn't hit the points it needs to hit, or it feels like it's too conservative or it's too aggressive or something, right? So that book was really, really helpful. So $100 million Offers, not sponsored, just saying it's good. Go get it. So yeah, I've been talking for a little bit. You two go.
I can't help but just laugh, because if somebody wanted to blackmail you, Tim, they would just need to take that snippet of you just saying, like, we just want to make our people feel stupid.
Don't give them an idea, Sam. Come on. It's fine. The people who know, like, and trust us will know that there's got to be something more to that room. Yeah.
No, I think this is so good, though. I know that, I mean, you guys, I'm sure, get this question a lot. I've been getting this question too, like, hearing all this is great as a creator. It's like, this is awesome. I would love to do this. How do I do this and not feel sleazy or gross? Like, the thought of this sounds really good, but I just don't feel comfortable with that right now. Or like, maybe with my particular niche, how do I do this? And so I think really, what we were just touching on as far as like, how do we make this work in a way that makes sense, but it's not going to feel that way? Like, what's right for us and our product or our business, or, even just us being authentic in our, like, what we're selling and what we're doing, is so important. So I think probably one of the biggest things that I always recommend creators, if they kind of bring that up as far as like, how do I do this and not feel gross, trying to make a sale and like making this sales video, is really just focusing on serving and giving. Like, Tim, I loved what you said earlier, as far as seeing the dollars as kind of tickets of appreciation that are just kind of circulating around. Like if you truly believe that you are, as the creator, you are serving your audience and giving them something of true value, that's, you believe in this thing and this is going to help them get to the next level of what they're trying to do, then you shouldn't feel shame in what you're selling, because you're, thinking of it as kind of those tickets of appreciation. Like, they're going to be excited for an opportunity to support that, to support you, and that they're going to, it's like you said with that book too, it's going to be an offer where they would be dumb to not pull the trigger on this thing, because it's going to be so valuable for them. So I think
there's an argument to be made that the more certificates of appreciation you have, the more money you make. That is a metric to evaluate how well are you serving people. How well, what kind of impact are you having? I'm not saying it's the metric or the only metric or maybe even a primary one, but it's certainly one that you can look at among others to say, like, am I making a difference? Do people want this, need this? So not to say that you can't be poor and not be serving people well. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it is something that I look to personally, be like, how well am I serving people? And then how well do I use these certificates to serve other people? Where I'm saying, here's, like, I am voting for this. I appreciate this, and so it's it's not just a.
I think thing. It's a good tip though for when sales are new for people, because I feel like anytime you do something new, you're so focused on, I need to make money with this, that you forget very much so what you just said. You kind of flip the perspective and looking at it as impact. I think that's great. I loved how you said that.
When I was back as an employee, I was doing YouTube strategy at a company full time. And after a year, they said, Tim, we love you, but 6 months from now, you'll no longer have a job. Where companies kind of go in this other direction. And they said, but we think you should start a business doing for other people what you've done for us. And I was like, I don't know anything about business. I don't know how to get started. So in those 6 months, they're like, well, use our Wi-Fi, use our resources, get this thing going. And at the end of the 6 months, I did not feel like I had anything I could launch out on here at Video Creators. Now I did later, but I still remember that my last day of that job was June 15th, 2013. And the business manager said, hey, Tim, let's go for a little walk. I remember walking on the parking lot with him, and he's like, Tim, just to be clear, you don't need to come back to work tomorrow. This is your last day. You get one more paycheck, and after that, you're done. And I was like, yeah, I know. And by that time, we had a few little kids, and my wife and I, and I was like, well, there's some sales jobs that are open right now. Like, could I take one of those jobs? And they're like, he looks at me and he says, Tim, you'll never be good at sales. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And that's the mentality I had at the time. And he was right at the time too, is that, like, I was coming from more of a ministry background, nonprofit background, where everything has to be free and supported by donors and all that. And so it's like, if you really want to serve people, you give it away for free, make it as accessible as possible. But I learned pretty quickly in business that if you don't have sales, you don't have a business, right? And I had to learn, like, oh, shoot. So I read a lot of sales books. I read a lot of resources, watched videos on YouTube and on sales and everything. And it was about, I think it was a year and a half later, I bumped into him again at a different event here in Cincinnati area. I was like, hey. So we caught up a little bit. I was like, hey, remember when you told me that, like, I would never be good at sales? And he was like, no. I was like, well, you did. You said that. He's like, that sounds like something I would say. And I was like, well, I grew my own business, and it's doing over $100,000 in revenue now. And so I told him the story. He's like, I hate being the guy, that villain in the story, but I'm glad it was, motivational for you. I'm like, no. Like, that's what I need. I was like, tell me what else I can't do. He's like, oh, okay. So now he and I are good friends now. I see him several times a month, and it's a common thing. Like, so then he told me, like, well, no, you'll never be able to grow a team. And I'm like, shoot, that took me like another year and a half. And I went back to him, like, I got a team now. He's like, okay, well, you'll never develop like leadership. And I'm like, but now here we are. Ingrid took over for me. Yes. So I got to go back to him and be like, tell me what else I can't do. I even sold this sucker. So, so I don't know. It's probably unfortunate that's how I operate, but anyway, my point though is that sales is something that's learned, And if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. But it does take some. Like I was motivated. I had a couple little kids and wife, and I knew I didn't want to go back and get another employee job at that time. So I was motivated, figured it out, but my whole approach was approaching sales as service, not sales as greed. And I learned that if the more I charged people, the better results they got, because the more seriously they took the experience. And if I donated my time or sold it cheaply, people would come and just kind of hear if I had any good ideas. But if I charged them $1,000 for a 1 hour session, they came with a pad and a pen and took notes, asked questions. They watched the recording of our conversation several times, and they got amazing results, and I got good reviews, and they told all their friends, So I was like, oh, I actually have to charge more in order for people to get the reward, the value that they want from this. But again, that looking at sales as service, as giving and helping, as opposed to like, who are you, Tim, to charge $1,000 an hour? My goodness, I'm like, well, I don't know, but it helps people. So, and it helps me too, honestly, because that helps me be able to start affording scaling and growing and serving more people. I think to wrap this up was kind of, one thing that stands out to me. I get this question all the time. I got it like speaking at FinCon this past year, finance conference and things, is like, how do you balance what you give away for free versus what you sell? And I got this from someone else. I don't remember who it was. So I wish I could give credit to where credit is due, but they said you give away all your best info for free. And what you sell is a process that gets results. And that's what I've been doing for over a decade now, is like I give away all of our best information for free, which is like, I don't hold anything back behind paywalls. If you watched thousands of our videos and listen to almost I don't know how many podcast episodes we have. The RSS feed cuts it off at 300. You could probably get all the info, but if you want a process to follow where you do this way in this order to get that results, that's what you sell. So I would encourage you, don't hold back. Give. We build a successful business here. We had 10, 11 employees at one time, and we were, and then we got acquired by another company for decent amount of revenue, of income, of a decent sale price. There we go. And I got what I was looking for. I'll just put it that way. And we did all that by giving away all our best info for free. And it built a really solid business for us. I think it builds trust. I think it builds credibility. But you do need to have a process. A process is different info. A process is do this way, like this, in order to get these results. And ultimately, what you're selling is results, not just information. So that's the difference. So. Every week, we like to wrap up the power tip, something you can do practically on your channel to get some results. Ingrid, we've got some more updates from YouTube that we should stay on top of so we can continue to understand how the platform works for our own content strategy. What are the new updates on YouTube for this week?
It's kind of cool. They're launching 2 new features. The first is pinch and zoom, and this is going to be on Android and iOS, both. And what you can do is you have to be in landscape mode, but you know how you're in a video and you can usually like pinch and expand. Like if you're looking at a picture, you're going to be able to do that on a video as well. They're still rolling this out, so I don't know if it's completely available yet. But the one thing that's really cool is like if you have a how-to channel and you're like providing really high value and somebody's really learning something, to me, I find that is going to be a game changer, for me as a viewer, which is awesome. And the second one is precise seeking. So this is available on Android, iOS, and on desktop. What in the past, it's been a little difficult to kind of find your spot as you're scrubbing through a video. So now what you're going to do is you're going to start the scrubbing, and then you can go upward, and then it's going to actually move the progress bar, and it'll show you thumbnails for every single thing in that video. So you can precisely find
frame by frame?
What you're looking for, frame by frame.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Yep.
Cool. There's a link in the show notes with more information about that if you want to see more details straight from YouTube themselves. If you want to see more of how that works, more detail, there's a link in the show notes of this episode that'll take you over to YouTube explaining that feature in more detail. Pretty interesting. And thank you for hanging out with us for another Video Creators Podcast episode. We look forward to seeing you guys again next week. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you then. Bye.